Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat?
Shotgun for Siemian. Back to pass, middle of the pocket. Eagles bring 4 now. He pulls it down. He's going to run 20, 15, 10, 5. He's going to score. Trevor Siemian, touchdown, running the football. And the Saints just won't go away. They just won't go away.
Mike Hoss on the call, New Orleans Saints Radio Network. Saints lose 40-29 in Philadelphia. One of the highlights from Trevor Siemian. Late in the game, the Saints put up 22 points, but a continuous and consistent sluggish starts for this football team, as they just have not done well. Scoreless in the first quarter. They did put up the second quarter touchdown on the pass to Adam Troutman. But after that, the Saints were blanked until the fourth quarter. It was 33-7. It was starting the fourth quarter, and of course, then the Saints made sort of their patented run, as they've done so often now here in the fourth quarter, but coming up short again. Third consecutive loss. And I want to be clear, I'm not putting all of these losses and all of the blame for these losses on Trevor Siemian, but he's clearly a limited player, and his mistakes on Sunday did hurt this football team. For example, the pick six, which Sean Payton talked about after the game on Sunday.
Yeah, 2-minute drill, obviously it comes inside against a good corner. It's, when we see the film, I'm sure we saw the replay of it, but guy sat on a route and ended up being, a significant score right at the half.
It's a coach that knows the significance of what's happening with his team right now. They've fallen from 5-2 to 5-5. They're at 500 on the season, and now you have back-to-back Thursday night games against what look like playoff teams in Buffalo and Dallas before your stretch run in December. And it's you got to start making moves. And it's pretty clear right now that the way this team is constructed, it's not good enough to win NFL games. It's certainly not to do so consistently. And it's a large part because of the slow starts. And as good as Siemian's been late in games, he just hasn't been early. And Peyton was asked about that.
I don't think so. Look, he missed a throw early on. We have a play action. He just underthrows it. Linebacker gets his hands on it. I'm not sure.
Certainly didn't have answers for it. I was watching the game, and I did tweet this during the game, and I think the tweet probably was misinterpreted. And sometimes that's the issue with Twitter. Was it 240 characters at a time? I tweeted, and a lot of fans wanted Drew Brees to retire, or were aching for Drew Brees to retire. That's not necessarily directed just to Trevor Siemian, and I didn't mean this year. Drew was near the end, and we all knew he was near the end of his career, and it was probably time to move on, etc. But that had been a pretty consistent drumbeat by a lot of Saints fans for several years now, wanting Drew Brees out and to move on. It took the New Orleans Saints 40 years in their existence to find a franchise quarterback. Drew Brees spoiled us for 15 years. It is really hard to find a franchise quarterback. The New England Patriots did not have one until Tom Brady showed up. We forget that. It's very rare to go from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers, like Green Bay has done. But congrats to them for having maintained the success they have for almost 30 years with 2 quarterbacks. And the Saints are learning now what we knew for 4 decades, which is it's really hard to find a quarterback in the NFL. And Trevor Siemian ain't it. I'm not saying that Brees should have stuck around or anything like that. I'm just saying it ain't easy to find a franchise quarterback. When you have one, you ride it till the wheels fall off. There were also fans poo-pooing Jameis Winston. Now you're looking at a contrast. Jameis wasn't setting the world on fire, but Jameis had the ability to win you football games. Trevor Siemian does not. And that much is pretty obvious right now. Again, I'm not saying they're losing because of Siemian. He's just not capable of winning games for them, which is why you're sitting there at 0-3. And listen, we could look at context. We could look absolutely at Tennessee and go, look at the drop passes, look at the fumble by Deontay Harris on the kickoff, look at the 2 missed PATs. And all of that is true. But the point is you don't have a quarterback under center good enough to overcome those mistakes. You have to play flawless football right now if you want to win with Trevor Siemian at quarterback. So it's really interesting because a day after the Saints lose again to fall to 0-3, a day where Trevor Siemian played his worst game by far, and Taysom Hill sat on the sideline or stood on the sideline with a beanie on his head, active as the backup quarterback, but not playing in his customary role with a foot injury. We learn that the Saints have agreed to a new deal with Taysom Hill. So he was scheduled to be a free agent next year, Taysom Hill was, and now they've agreed to a new deal, 4 years, that will pay Taysom Hill $40 million if he remains in his current role, that sort of slash hybrid role. But if he becomes the Saints starting quarterback over the next 4 years, it could pay him as much as $95 million. So the Saints are saying to Taysom, it's a guaranteed $22.5 million, by the way. They're saying to Taysom Hill, who's 31 years old, we want you to be a part of this franchise, and we're willing to at least consider the possibility that you might be our starting quarterback for the future. Now, with that being the case, that is the definition of putting your money where your mouth is. You can say, hey, Taysom, we think you can be a quarterback. And then you can go through this charade of a preseason competition, which wasn't a competition because Jameis was always going to be the starter. But when you actually pay this man like that, you're financially tying yourself to at least the possibility of him being your starting quarterback. It's time to see it. If Taysom Hill's foot is healthy, Taysom Hill needs to be your starting quarterback the rest of the way. You all know how I feel about this. I don't believe, I'll give you my opinion. Taysom Hill will never be a consistent starting quarterback and a franchise quarterback in the NFL. I think Taysom Hill is a brilliant player. I love his athleticism. I love his attitude. I love what he brings to the locker room. I love how dynamic he is and the different dimensions he brings to an offense. But I don't think he will ever be a consistent starting quarterback in the NFL. But the New Orleans Saints think at least there's some sliver of a possibility that he can be that. And if they believe that and they're willing to affix this type of financial commitment to that possibility, then you have to go find out. It can't be ambiguous anymore. You've got to put that man under center, let him start the remainder of this season. You're 5-5, you've got 7 games to go. He's your guy the rest of the way. And if he blows up and is awesome, you can feel confident going into next season with Taysom Hill as your starting quarterback. Maybe Ian Book is your backup, and maybe Jameis signs a deal, or maybe he goes in free agency somewhere else to be a starting quarterback, similar to what happened with Teddy Bridgewater after his stint in New Orleans. Don't know yet. But you've got to make Taysom Hill your starting quarterback for the remainder of the season. I don't think that's going to work. By removing Taysom Hill from his slash role, you remove a dynamic element of the offense. This is an offense that's already minus weapons. Might it be different if Michael Thomas was there? Sure, but he's not. So you have to go forward now with Taysom Hill as your quarterback, sans a lot of really good weapons, but seeing if you can find a way to win games. And if you can figure out how to win games with Taysom playing the style of ball he does, great. That at least gives you your answer moving forward. And if it's no-go at quarterback, well, then you still got him under contract for the next 4 years in the role that he's in now, and I think he can be a really good contributing piece in that role. It's just time. It's time to see it. It's not to place all the blame for these losses at the feet of Trevor Siemian, but it's very obvious that you also can't ride Trevor Siemian to wins. It's time to see if the other guy can do it and see if he can prove people like me wrong. I don't think he will, but you got to find out, especially now because it's no longer talk. You have financial commitments to him in that respect, and you got to find out. So if Taysom Hill is healthy enough to play quarterback on Thanksgiving night, he needs to start Thanksgiving night. And if he's not, but he's ready to play against Dallas next Thursday, he needs to start against Dallas next Thursday. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.